Hi everybody, it's Stacy from Quick Quotes, and I am here today to walk you through step by step the May Club Q kits. There's two double page layouts, and as you saw in the beginning here, there is it's a good life, enjoy it, and life is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm going to walk you through step by step. If you are not a Club Q member and you're just checking out the videos, I'll give you a sneak peek of June's Club Q in case you want to sign up. Or if you are a Club Q member and you're thinking of possibly opting out next month, this is the kit that you would be getting. So check this out. Here's a little sneak peek. It's not even quite on the website yet. It will be soon. And if you were to sign up for June, these are the kits that you would get. Fun, bright, summery kits. And you also get free kits if you sign up as well. So you can see here there is lots of benefits of being a Club Q member. $32 a month, free shipping. You always get two double page layouts. With directions, everything in there. Plus you get an extra pack of paper, ribbons, some embellishments, stuff in there as well. This is some of the extra papers that you would be getting for June. So you get more than just the two layouts. You get free shipping. You get all the instructions for each one. You get some extra embellishments and quotes and stuff. But we are going to get started walking you through step by step for May Club Q kits. Okay, we are going to get started with It's a Good Life, Enjoy It. This is the May Club Q for 2022. And we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'll walk you through putting this together. Here are the directions, and as always, we have suggested ink colors down here. It looks like Fall Leaves, Montego Bay, and Jade. Fall Leaves and Montego Bay are two new colors, and Jade is from past colors. But if you have anything similar to that, that will work. We always suggest colors, but you go ahead and use whatever you have. There's sometimes some shades that we don't even think about that will look really nice with the kits. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And what I always do is start with the cutting diagrams. I like to get the cutting out of the way. A lot of times we have things cut for you, but there's also some times where there's a couple cutting diagrams in there. It says to punch out all your lasers, and you go ahead and do that if you want to. I just did a few to get started, and then I like to punch them out as I go because I tend to lose the pieces. So just so you know, also we're going to use some of the negative pieces from the laser. So some of these that have a flower in the middle, this outside piece, don't throw it away because we are going to use it for a photo mat. So if you grab your cutting diagram, we are going to cut these two sheets first. And the paper looks like this. We are going to use two of these sheets for background pages, and then we're going to use two to cut for these two diagrams. So go ahead and get that diagram out. I'm going to move this out of my way. Get my cutter set up here, my trimmer. And we are going to go ahead and do these cutting diagrams, and actually get my background papers out here. And the great thing about this kit, actually both kits this month, we designed the two pages almost exactly the same, and then we turned it so it looks different. We are going to do the cutting diagram, so grab one of the pieces, and if you have any tabs on there, you can go ahead and cut off the white tab. Just make it at 12 by 12. And we are going to go ahead and cut this diagram first. So it looks like we need a 5.5 by a 7.5, 5.5 by a 7.5. So I'm going to make this cut first, right here at 7.5. So go ahead and put your paper in. Trim at 7.5. And then we'll work on this piece here to
turn it and make two 5.5 by 7.5. So we'll turn it and cut it at 5.5. 5.5. We'll move it down and cut another 5.5. We have two 5.5 by 7.5. And then this last little piece is a 1 by 5.5. So this, you have 1 inch left over. So let's just turn that and cut it at 5.5. And this little piece is just trash. Or you can save it for something else. Okay, so we have these 3 pieces. Set those to the side. Now you have this left over to cut your 3 pieces out of the bottom here. So we need a 4.5 by 3.5. This paper is at 4.5. So we just want to turn it, trim at 3.5. And then these are 3 by 4s. So we can turn it this way, trim it at 3. You're going to have a little piece left over here. So that's at 3. This is left over. And then turn it, and you'll cut it at 4. So then you have 2 4-inch pieces. And there's a little more here, so trim at 4 again. Get rid of that little piece on the end. And at any time, if I'm going too fast, just go ahead and hit pause. That's the nice thing about having the videos. You can work at your own pace. So we have 2 3 by 4 pieces. And now we're going to do the second diagram here. I'm actually going to write, get a marker and write on there the sizes so that you can see as we go. Because mine is just a sample, I am going to write sizes on here so as you go you can see what I'm grabbing. 3 by 4. 4.25 by 3.25. 5.5 by 7.5. Okay. Let's start on the second diagram. So we need 2 5 by 7s. And actually this, we are going to cut off the strips, the really skinny strips. They're just 1/4 inch by 12 inch. We're going to do that first. Trim off your tab. And then I'm just going to move this over to the 1/4 inch mark because we're going to do 1/4 inch strip by 12. Just a real skinny piece here. And then one more, 1/4 inch by 12. And then we want to turn our paper and we will cut at 7 inches. Make sure you turn it, cut at 7. And then the piece that we're working on right now, so we have this piece cut. We're going to turn it again, cut at 5. Scoot it down, cut at 5. And then you have your 1.5 by 7 inch piece here. So we have all of these done. 1.5 by 7, 5 by 7, and 5 by 7. All right, we have all of those cut. Now, this leftover piece, we are going to cut 1.5 by 10.5 inch pieces. So let's put it in, cut it at 10.5. Got some leftover. And then turn it and cut it at 1.5. And 1.5 again. And 1.5 again. You have a little piece left over again. Okay, so these are all 1.5 by 10.5. Okay, so we have our two major cutting diagrams done. I'm going to move this out of the way so you don't need this anymore. It does have some of the second page directions on the other side, so we will pick this back up later. But we have all the big cutting diagram done. So next on the instructions, it'll show the smaller pieces that need to be cut. The next one is a white paper that is 4.5 by 9.5, and we need to cut it into 4.5 by 4.5 and a 4 by 5. So you have a piece like this, 4.5 by 9.5. It's already 4.5 this way, so we need to turn it and cut it at 4.5 this way. And then the other piece, so this is and on the instructions it says to cut the next one at 4 by 5. So this is at 5. Measure the 5 in, turn it, and trim it at 4. 4 by 5. Extra piece. And the next step, the orange dot paper that is 6 by 10 needs to be cut into 4 1.5. This is 6 by 10.5, and it needs to be cut into 4. Or one 4.5 by 4 and one 4 by 5 piece. So this is 6 by 10. We're going to cut, gosh, sorry, we're on this one. I usually mark these off as I go so that I can see that I did it. Okay, so we are cutting 4 1.5 inch by 10.5 inch pieces on the orange dot paper. So we put it in, cut at 1.5. Move it down, 1.5 again. Move it down, 1.5 again. Okay. And the next one is the other orange piece of paper. It's 3.5 by 7. So we need to cut, this is 3.5. We need to cut a 3.5 by 4.5. So let's turn it. Cut at 4.5. And one 3.5 by 2.5. So this is already cut for you. See, there is 3.5 by 2.5. Okay. Now the next cut is on the 3 by 10.5 green dot paper. You want to cut two 1.5-inch strips. So we got our two 1.5-inch strips. And next we're going to trim out our quote. And I'm trimming it just on the outside of the black line there. Just get it in here straight. Sometimes these little pieces are easier to do with scissors, so it's up to you. You choose. Okay. And then it says you can chalk any of the pieces up as you wish as you go, or you can take all your lasers and chalk them up now if you would like to. I'm going to set this out of the way. And then on both pages, we are actually going to set the page up almost the same on both pages. Grab my white pieces of paper. So you have two 7 by 10 papers. These both need to be adhered about 1/2 inch, so we center it from top to bottom, and about 1/2 inch from the right side of the page. And again, if you want to chalk things up as you go right ahead. This is the next piece that we're putting on, so I'm actually going to chalk this one up. You can see some different colors. One thing I like to do with the flowers is to take something with a kind of a sharp edge, like maybe like an edge of a ruler. I have my paper piercer here. I like to stick it right in the middle of the flower petal and fold it up. And you're only going to need to do this side, because this side is actually going to be covered up with paper. So if you want to add a little dimension, you can on one side of the flower. Just kind of fold up the flower here. And it just gives it a little lift and a little extra color. And then I am going to grab fall leaves. This is one of my new favorite colors. And I'm just going to chalk up the edges of these flowers. Just a little bit. And again, you only have to do one side, because that is the only side that will be showing. And then these will be centered from top to bottom and adhered about 1/2 inch from the left side of your first page. Make sure you can see that in the screen here. It's hard to get both pages in, but we'll overlap here just a little bit. Okay, so these can be glued down. I'm just going to put a little bit on my sample here, because it doesn't need to hold together well, because it's just a sample. But this strip of flowers can go right in the middle from top to bottom, and then about 1/2 inch from the left side of your page. And again, chalk anything up you would like. You could do a little bit around the white papers, or if you want to leave them white, that's fine too. But these two get adhered. Right in the center from top to bottom. and a 1/2 inch, oops, from the right side of each page. Go ahead and glue those down. Get the next page too. And I'm just using a little bit of adhesive, but you'll need to use a little more than that to get yours to stay on there. Okay, so we have a good start to our background. Now we are going to just start layering our strips that we cut. We want to take one of the orange ones, orange dot, and again, chalk these up if you would like to. Add some extra color and dimension to it. This is going to go right on this edge of the flowers. So go ahead and glue that down. Just so it's coming out just barely coming out the side there. The next piece is a 1/2 inch. It has this on one side, this on another side, and we're going to just overlap that orange one just a bit, about a 1/2 inch, and glue that down. And this one you're going to want to move down. Instead of centering it, we're going to move it off-centered so it has like maybe a 1/4 inch from the bottom. The next is the green dot, and we're going to put that one on just about a 1/4 inch over and just about a 1/4 inch from the top of the page here. You can see that on there. This is kind of fun to add lots of different colors and texture to your page by layering some strips of different patterns. And next we have another orange strip, and that one is going to go right across the top of flush with your white piece. And again, if you want to go ahead and do that same thing with the other side, we'll kind of give it the same look. On page 2, you want to, since we don't have flowers right here, we still want to put this in maybe about an 1.25 inches from the left side of the page. And we're going to layer these up just the same. And actually, so when I did this, I slid this in later underneath here. But what you can do is start with this if you haven't already glued your orange piece down yet. And if you have, you can probably lift up the edge like I did when I first designed it. But this little border is going to go on the second page in place of those flowers. And we're going to do exactly what we did over here with these as well. Some of these strips we cut out of your cutting diagram. So there's 1.5 by 10.5 inch. Pull it down in about a 1/4 inch. The green dot. Move that up to about a 1/4 inch from the top. A 1.5 inch piece. Back down a little. And these don't have to be exactly, actually I'm gonna move this one up a little bit. It's showing a little more white. I think I have mine over a little more. This one goes up a little bit. And I'm kind of doing mine a little bit quickly, but you go ahead and pause it and get things straight on there, however you want to have it. Okay, so right now both pages look about the same. We have a different border here on each side. The skinny little strips, this side, we cut these out earlier. These are going to go right up the border there. Okay, and then from here, we are going to layer our photo mats. Okay, and I just realized on the first page, I forgot one of the strips in between here. So if there's a strip like this that needs to go before this orange one, but instead of starting completely over, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put it on top of these because you barely see that piece anyway. It just barely sticks up right here. So I'm going to go ahead and add it to the top over that orange. Or if you use adhesive that is a little bit, you can peel it up. You can actually add this underneath it if you would like to move this orange one over a little bit. But I'm going to assume that everybody has used an adhesive and it's already glued down. So what I am going to do, and mine aren't exactly straight, but you can take the time and put yours straight. What I'm going to do is just add this right over the top of it. It just adds a little bit of extra color anyway, and you barely see it once your photos get on there. So we'll put a little adhesive on that, and then I'm just going to add it right here. And you can still see all the stripes of different colors there, and it'll be covered up for the most part. Okay, so we are going to start adding all of our photo backers. Again, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the beginning, but we teach all of our classes for all of our live events and stuff like that. We teach our classes so that you can put pictures in later. So what I would say to do is just barely tack these down. Unless you have your pictures with you, you can push pause, put pictures in, and then glue them down completely. But you can just tack these down just on the corners so that you can easily pull them out later, put pictures in, put it back on the page. We are going to start lining up the photo backers here, all the photo mounts. And what we need is the 5.5 by 7.5. And we're going to use this side. Then we need the 5 by 7. There should be 2, just like that, 1 for each page. So it's a 5.5 by 7.5. Flip it over, and then the 5 by 7 goes on top. Oops, this one goes this way on this page, and this one goes this way on this page. And as you can see, we start to cover up these strips here anyway. So if we have them out of order, it's no biggie. You won't even be able to see that. Okay, and then once we get that kind of tacked down a little bit, we have 2 pieces here. Oh, you might be able to hear a train coming. Just so you know, when we do our live events, we have all day super scrapbook days. We do 14 pages, a mini project. It's a really fun live event. We do that every few months. But on our live events, every time a train goes by, we give away lots of prizes. So join us for a live event sometime, and you have a chance to get prizes every time this train goes by our building. It's kind of a fun game. Our next live event is actually on June 4th, and then we have a couple months after that. The June 4th one, as of today, there's only 6 left, so our live events sell out pretty fast. Okay, so the next step would be there's a 1.5 by 7, looks like this, and it's this piece right here. It kind of goes underneath here, so we want to adhere that to the page, and that lines up with your photo mat here. So you want it in just about 1/4 of an inch, and then you have a 1 by 5 that looks like this. We're gonna flip that over. That gets adhered not quite 1/4 inch up in the bottom of the white paper, and then flush with the right side. Okay, once we have those glued down, we will find, and remember I said in the beginning, the negatives on your laser cut sheet, the flowers will come out of here. This is going to be your photo backer. So I'm going to go ahead and punch these flowers out. We'll chalk those up for later. And then the 4.5 by 3.5 piece gets glued right onto the top of there. So you can use adhesive to hold this on, and then there are 2 brads that go into this photo backer. So I'm actually going to use my paper piercer right up in the corner, make a spot for my brads. And in all of our kits, we always have the brad bags and buttons and the embellishments all packed nice and neat in a little bag like this. If there's just one embellishment, sometimes we'll just throw it into the kit, but usually they are all in a little pack like this. So I'm going to dump those out now, and I keep them in there until I need them because they're small and they're easy to lose. So this just adds another color to the page. Okay, so that, and again, you can just put a little adhesive if you want and peel it up later and put some pictures in it. This is going to go about 1/4 of an inch down from your 5 by 7 photo mat here. So about 1/4 of an inch down. And so that a little bit of your colorful strip shows here. The next one is, we'll punch this flower out of this small one. And then your 2.5, I believe this is 2.5 by 4, has kind of a flowery blue pattern on the back, and then orange arrows. This gets adhered to this one. And then that goes just about in the middle of this orange strip here. And the bottom goes in the middle of this greenish strip down here. Next we have a 3.5 by 2.5. So I just noticed too when we did our cutting diagram, this is actually, so it's a 3.5, and I put 2.5, but it's actually 2 1/4. So I'm going to cut, we can trim off just 1/4 of an inch so that it's just 2 1/4 and it fits on that photo backer. So I trimmed off 1/4 of an inch. Now this is 3 1/4 by 2 3.5 by 2 1/4. That's an easy fix. So just trim 1/4 inch off of here, punch out your flowers. This goes onto here. And again, I'm just going to, I'm going to show you what it looks like with some other colors. So this is jade, And if you want to, you can chalk up any of these with the colors that you choose. I love to do the photo mounts, the photo backers, because it just gives like one more layer of color in there. So that's kind of pretty, leaving a dark edge to it. And then that gets adhered to there. And I'll show you on this one. You can also do the white, and it shows up really nicely on the white. This autumn leaves. Another great one for this kit would be sunset or pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie is a really nice orange as well. Sunset has a little, it's a little lighter than this one, not quite as bright. There's also some browns that would look really nice with this too. So I tend to chalk up everything. Okay, and then this one will go right next to the one with the arrows on it. And next, if I can find my quote here, I'm going to chalk this one up as well. And actually, I'm going to use a little bit brighter color. This Montego Bay is kind of a turquoise rather than a teal, but I really love this color. And it just brightens it up a little bit. I think in the instructions, I think I used either autumn leaves or sunset on this, but I'm going to do this one, the little Montego Bay, which I think that's a really pretty color. So this, and again, you can just put a little adhesive on the end here if you want to and tack it down later once you have photos in here. This goes just about, so it tucks in kind of like a pocket. So these tuck in like a pocket. This goes just about to the middle of the arrow paper. That can get adhered to the page. Then we have, I'm trying to find the rest of my lasers here. Here they are. Okay, then we have the scallop border, and that is going to go right across here. It's flush with the top of this piece. Go ahead and glue that down. And those little pieces, I always use a little glue pin so that it's easy to kind of control the adhesive on there. These are a little bit more delicate. Okay, then you have some more laser cuts here. These ones are kind of fun to make different colors as well. And I mentioned our online live events. They go live on our Facebook page. Every few months we have one. June 4th is almost sold out, and it might be by the time this video goes live, but check it out because you get a ton of stuff in one of those days. We also have our in-person events, which we are super excited about getting our private reserve 3-day events up and running again. So in the fall, we will actually be in Palm Springs, California, Pennsylvania, and Washington. So Washington State. So check those out on our website. And if you go to events and workshops, it'll show you all the places that will be in the fall. But the 3-day events, they're $2.99, but you go home with well over $2.99 in product. We have classes all day long. We do crops in the evening. We give away hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of prizes. Very fun weekend. So check that out. shopquickquotes.com, and then you click on events and workshops. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take these, fold them up. And you can chalk them first if you would like to, but I just like to get a fold in here so that it has a nice extra dimension to it when you layer them up. And there's lots of flowers in here, so what I would do is place them on your page without any adhesive, just so you know you have the ones where you want them. So again, I'm just laying these on here. You can adhere these down whenever you want to. There are, on the other side, the rest of the directions are on the other side of your diagram here. So you can, once you get all of your photo mats together, you can use this as a guide to lay them where you need to have them. And I'm going to show you here the finished product. So we are going to get these together, put some brads in them, get the second page going. So for the second page, we have a 3x4 and a 3x4. Two of those. So the 3x4 and the 3x4 go on to the 3.5 by 4.5 white. And these each have flowers in them. So we're going to punch those out. And once you adhere those together, you can put the brads in. I just like to lay it out here a little bit so I know what I'm looking for and what kind of pictures we want to put in. Okay, and we have a 4x4 arrow, orange arrow paper, and that goes on the 4.5 by 4.5 white. That tucks up under. And then we have the 3.5 by 4.5 orange that goes on the 4x5. So these are all placed where they need to go. The only thing you have left is the flowers. So once you get the flowers layered up the way that you like them, then you can adhere them to each other, adhere them to the page, and then we add a little spot of glue to the buttons and add the buttons to the centers of the flower. So I'm going to show you just a few different colors here of our Powder Puff chalking inks. I had mentioned sunset, so I'm going to use sunset on this one. And a little trick, depending on how much color you want on there, if you want more color, I would leave them flat before you fold them. I fold them in the middle. It just lets you get a little more on the whole surface area. So that's really nice, has a little bit of brown in it. So it has really nice coloring. So you can see I was able to color more of the flower. When you do the folded, you actually, let's see another color that might look nice. Actually, I'm gonna add some yellow. I know this doesn't have much yellow in it, but it'll brighten up the page a little bit. This is our new Summer Days Powder Puff chalking ink. And once you do that, you can see here, you just get the edges once it's already folded. This is a really nice bright orange there. So depending on the look that you like, you can either fold them first or when you're done. So, and if you don't have something sharp like this, you really can just put your nails in the middle and fold them. And just make them a little bit messy. And I'll do some flowers with Montego Bay. One of my new favorite colors. Really bright and cheery, summery color. Fold these up too. And I probably wouldn't put all these colors together normally, but since I'm just kind of showing you some of the different colors we have, I'll do one with jade. This is a nice green color. And I think both of these actually match the page because the color is right in between these, more of a teal color. And then the last thing you do is just layer your flowers up. So I'm going to see which goes where here. There's a big one for each page. Then the next size down. And there's lots of different sizes. This way I don't glue anything until I have them in place. I'm just going to show you this deep sea. I love this color. I know it doesn't necessarily match this page, but this is a really beautiful kind of, it's a little brighter than a navy. This is one of my, I love blues, so this is one of my favorite colors as well. Oranges and blues. It's just a really pretty color. And then in our new collection that we just got in, we also have peaches and cream. I'll do one of those in peaches and cream. And that's just kind of a softer orange, a soft peach color. And I have one flower left. Let's do, what do we have open here? I'll do another blue. Probably wouldn't typically put it on this page, but for future pages, this deep sea, or I mean, sorry, this is ocean blue. And that one is just slightly brighter yet than the last one, the last blue I used. Almost has like a purple to it. Okay, so go ahead and get these lined up the way that you want to have them on your page. And then you can glue them down once you have them in the spaces that you want them. And you have your little flourish embellishments here. I'll chalk these up just a little bit with jade just to add a little green to it. Nice soft color. Oops, I did the wrong side. And then don't forget to put your brads, poke some holes here and here. And this one's a little more covered up. You can spread this out a little bit. If you don't have pictures that would show just this spot, spread them out a little bit and it will show more of your photos on there. One last little embellishment. And then this was a pretty simple page to put together. The cutting instructions are the hardest part. This one had 2 or 3 different ones, so that makes it a little more difficult, but oh, I did the wrong side again. But for the most part, once you get things cut, you can just place them as you go. Once you get your flowers where they go, you can go ahead and add your buttons. And then your brads go here and here. And you end up with this. And I hope you enjoyed the kits this month. This paper line is called Tuscany, and we actually have the paper pack on our website. So if you wanted more of this paper, I know you got a few sheets in with your Club Q, but if you want more of this paper, it's called Tuscany, and it is on our website, and you can check that out in the paper packs section. And I hope you enjoyed Club Q this month. I hope you enjoy it next month. We will pull together a video for that one also. And we appreciate you so much. Thank you for being a Club Q member. And we will see you next month.